What are the gates of hell Jesus spoke of? Matthew 16 verse 17 and 18. Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it." That's from the New International Version. What is Hades? Hades is defined as Hades in the Greek Old Testament translation of the Hebrew Sheol, the dwelling place of the dead. See hell. That's from Britannica.com. But this now leads to my question. What are the gates of hell that Jesus speaks of here? Well, according to BibleStudyTools.com, the phrase gates of hell that Christ uses here is the same as the one used in Job 38 verse 17 and Isaiah 38 verse 10, and can also be translated as the realm of the dead, thus implying that Jesus was speaking of physical death. But why then did he use the term gates? Almost everywhere in the Bible, when the term is used, it is used as a symbol of power, like when a city was under siege and the defenders would close the gates to keep the attackers at bay. As www.compellingtruth.org puts it, the idea of gates in the ancient world indicated a source of power. A small village may have only a simple entrance. A large fortified city included a vast gate that could stand against a strong army. When Jesus made reference to the gates of hell, the most likely idea was an indication that all the power of hell and death could not overcome the power of the rock Jesus Christ to build the church. End quote. An interesting note here is that a gate is a defensive structure, not an offensive one. So Christ puts the church in an attacking role here. Lately in the modern world, the church has been under immense attack by the LGBT whatevers and so-called Christians who have no idea of what Christ actually teaches his followers to do. But Christ's church is not a defensive body. It is designed to attack the gates of hell. To, in the words of Reinhard Bonke, plunder hell to populate heaven. So when the church starts using the power God gives it and functions as a force in the spiritual realm, things will change in the physical realm. For example, if the church evangelizes and the potential murderer repents to Christ, he will no longer become a murderer. Thereby a spiritual truth practiced in physical world changes the world. But back to the gates of hell. When Christ spoke these words, he was in an area where the locals prayed to the idol Pan, a half-goat, half-man demon in a city full of Greek pagan worship and sexual immorality. Interestingly, the word panic is said to come from the name of Pan, so he was not really a very stable influence. And to quote www.biblestudy.com, Caesarea Philippi was home to a cave known to the pagan occupants as the gates to the underworld. These pagan worshippers believed that their city was literally at hell's gates, where fertility gods lived during the winter. A stream flowed from the cave's mouth, believed to be used by fertility gods traveling in and out of the cave. To attract the gods' return, every springtime they would engage in horrific, immoral acts, such as prostitution and sexual interaction between humans and goats. End quote. So, there was also a physical truth to what Christ said. An actual gate of hell, people believed, to go with the spiritual aspect. The city was seen as an actual gate to hell, and followers of Christ in that area were facing a tough time. To quote www.logos.com, in an article written by Michael S. Heiser, it is the church that Jesus sees as the aggressor. He was declaring war on evil and death. Jesus would build his church atop the gates of hell. He would bury them. End quote. So the gates of hell can also be understood to represent a fallen world, one that rejects the truth of Christ and wants to destroy his followers and beliefs. A world that is ruled by the rulers of hell. But the rulers of hell do know one truth that they refuse to share with their legions of followers. Christ has already defeated this death. As Jesus said, the gates of hell shall not prevail, because in him and through him we have already got the victory. So while the gates of hell may refer to a physical or a spiritual place, it may also refer to a battle being waged for the souls of those on earth. A battle that the followers of Christ cannot ignore. The gates of hell cannot prevail in the end, and the evil one knows this. That is why he attempts to mislead as many as he can and have their souls join him in a place far away and without God. 1 John 4:4 expresses Christ's clear power over Satan when it says, "Little children, you are from God and have overcome them. For he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world." And therefore we are honor bound to live the calling and bring as many as possible from the darkness to the light of Christ. So the gates of hell may very well be a physical place as it was in the area of Caesarea Philippi, or it may be a spiritual place. But in the end of the day, what matters truly is what spiritual place you are in yourself.